Hello, and welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey everybody, this is Lisa and Nancy, and today we are looking at this beautiful belt of golden trees. It's fall here in Greenville, Tennessee, and we are at the farm at Spring Creek, and we're sitting drinking wine with a Portofino view. Thank you, Portofino. With Erin Turner, who is one of the owners here of the farm, and they have an amazing cabin. They have cows, they have cattle and cows all together, right?
Yes.
Chickens, you'll hear the chickens. They have pigs. They have kids running around, but they have a beautiful pond. They have flowers. They have honey. They have food.
Fish.
Big fish. And the big fish. So it is a magical place here in East Tennessee, and you got to come here. But we're sitting out here having our wine time. We're doing our farm story for Donna at the Peanut Patch in Yuma, Arizona. She said, you got to go visit as many farms. I want stories from farms across the country. And Donna, we're here on a farm, sleeping on a farm, and having wine on a farm. Does that count, Erin?
Oh, yeah, it definitely counts.
Yeah.
Cool.
So do a lot of people come here, have a farm stay, and have wine on the patio at the cabin?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's a regular occurrence for sure.
Do you get jealous that they have a really cool view? The cabin?
No, I really don't think there's a terrible spot on this farm. I think there's pretty scenic views anywhere you look.
Yeah. And here where we are is like where you're going to build your house, right?
Yes.
You guys are in a cabin like we are.
Yeah.
And this view right now, I mean, those are mountains. Is that Virginia?
Yeah, I think we're looking at Virginia over there, if I have my directions right.
I have no clue. I have no clue about directions, but those trees are amazing. And the cattle that we went and toured today, the cattle lands, the cows were out here.
Yes. So sometimes they come and they're in our front yard for sure.
I love the cows.
Yeah, they're
I
sweeties.
communicate with them. They say moo, and I'm like, gotcha. They're so cool.
They were waiting for us to feed them
know.
today. So this is, you do grass-fed beef is the number one thing on the property.
Absolutely, yeah. So they just get kind of treats from us when we go out. It's how we rotate them in the pastures to do rotational grazing so that they always have a good supply of total digestible nutritions and crude proteins that they're getting from the grass that we're feeding them. I mean, as you can see, we're starting to have to put out a little bit of hay just to kind of supplement here and get them through the winter. But we do grass-fed beef, pasture raised, pasture finished, and so when we're moving them from pasture to pasture, we'll call and we'll ride that ATV mule out, and we'll bring them like sweet hay and minerals, and they love to come and just get a little treat. So that's what they thought we were doing today when we were riding through there.
They're all like, I'm like, look, it's like a pack of dogs. They're all like running. I'm like, hello, this is so cool.
They're sweet.
Cool.
So you talk about, you bring hay out, and you said, pasture started, finished. When you bring them hay, this is actually hay from the land. So that's continuing the point that they're grass-fed.
Correct. Yeah. So we have we do cut some hay here on our property. Otherwise, my grandfather will go around kind of other parts of Greene County and get some other hay pastures that he cuts from. But yeah, it's not no grain. They're never fed grain here on our farm.
Okay. So what was the choice for that, do you think? Just keeping it natural?
I mean, we really care about what we're eating, knowing what we're eating and where it comes from. That's really important to us. Also, being able to fix our pastures and do that rotational grazing, and it all goes along with like soil and water conservation. That's really important to us too, just to be able to like sustain the farming that we're doing for generations to come, and not just have it end with us.
I love that. I really love that.
And I think that what's neat here is you're doing the grass-fed, but then Nancy ate okra today.
Yeah, and it was really good.
Yeah, it was pickled okra.
I love pickled stuff and pickled okra. I mean, I've had okra before where like, okay, I won't be doing that again, but this was good. Pickled okra is like magical.
So you have a whole other side of the farm.
We do. We have a pretty large seasonal garden. I mean, I say it's pretty large. It feeds 9 people all year long. So we eat either fresh produce from the garden, or my mother-in-law and a friend of ours who lives on the farm will spend pretty much all summer canning and preserving that food from the garden so that we have that food throughout the year to eat. So, yeah, she makes some incredible pickled things. She makes the best pickles, dill pickles I've ever eaten.
Yeah.
Cool.
This year we didn't have our county fair here because of all this stuff happening with, COVID and stuff. But next year I told her for sure she has to enter her pickles in the county fair because they'll for sure win. They're so good.
We want those ribbons.
Yeah.
But I want to eat the pickles.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I'm like, hello.
Yeah, we forgot to give you pickles. We gotta give you those.
No, I want to try those. But let's talk about the beginning of the farm here. We're in East Tennessee, so 4 light seasons. You say they're kind of light
Yeah.
because you're near the Smoky Mountains National Park,
Yes, we are.
and you got National Forest land.
Yeah, so we are. So I'm from Louisiana. We only have 2
Yeah.
seasons. We have hot and maybe 3 days of fall or winter. But here I actually see 4 true seasons, which a lot of people around this area would disagree with me and say that that's not true. But I noticed that there are 4 seasons, and it's sort of funny that they change to the season on the day that it says it's going to change on the calendar, which is
Does
really
it
crazy.
really?
Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's
climate
cool.
change isn't really messing with you yet.
Well, not here. I mean, I guess in other parts maybe, but not here. I mean, when it says it's going to be fall, the weather drops and the leaves start to fall off the tree, and it's amazing.
Interesting.
But
Wow.
yeah, so pretty mild though. I mean, we'll have really, really pretty, as you can see, really pretty fall where the leaves start to change. And that's very different from Louisiana because everything's evergreen in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So here we have lots of maples and sycamores, and you see lots of that really pretty color foliage. It's really nice. And then we'll have winter. We'll get a little bit of snow every now and then, but it's never too bad. We might have 1 or 2 good snows where I can take the kids out sledding, but not where you're in weeks of snow and sludge and slush, and so it's
So
really
people
nice.
can come to the cabin year round.
Oh, absolutely. And East Tennessee is a really great place to visit. Like you said, we're close to the Smoky Mountain National Park. We're in what's considered the foothills of the Smoky Mountains, but Smoky Mountain National Park is about 50 miles from us.
Wow.
And it's a really pretty drive through there, and there's something to do all the time. It's very tourist heavy in the summer, obviously when people are taking vacations and things, but there are lots of other really pretty times in the Smokies, especially in the later fall and the winter, because you can really see the Smokies. In the summer, everything's very full and lush, and it makes it a little more difficult to see those mountains. But as things start to die off, then you start to really get those really pretty views, really pretty like 360 views of the mountains.
Cool.
Oh, man, we got to come back already.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm feeling. Yeah. So the farm itself, who started the farm?
So my in-laws moved here in the 90s because my husband's grandparents were buying land here. My grandfather, his grandfather, actually just grew up right down the road. I showed you the house that he grew up in, just like maybe half a mile from here. And so he spent, his career in the Army. He was a lieutenant colonel for the Army. He retired with the Army, and when he did, he started buying up land around his childhood home. And they were living in New Mexico. That's where my husband and his family are from. Mm-hmm. And they came out in the early 90s. I want to say like 92 or 93. And that's how the 4 of them ended up here with, my husband and his sister. So there were 6 of them out here, and they built his grandparents' house and his parents' house, and then his sister, and then he actually moved away to Louisiana. That's where I met him. And his sister and brother-in-law lived here a little while because his parents followed him to Louisiana. And so they were here for several years. I don't really know how long, maybe 7 or 8 years. And then they moved to Charleston, and that's when we decided to come here because his grandparents were here all alone. And so we brought our 2 small kids. We had a 3.5-year-old at the time and a baby, a 5-month-old, who now are 7 and a very feral 3. So
They are smart, though. They're smart and
and
fun
they're
kids to
funny.
hang out with, man.
They're really
Are you
funny.
kidding me?
well,
Like,
it's been such a blessing having them out here on this farm and being able to raise them in this environment, because it really is so nice to give them a little extra independence, but still know that they're safe because they're on our
and breathing
place.
fresh air,
Right.
and kind of like being able to be part of the land.
Yeah,
But they're fun with people.
yeah. Well,
You know?
they like people, that's for sure.
I'm kind of used to kids who are a little shy, and they're just like, hey, you're like an instant friend.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, I made this. Like, that's cool. What does it do? I don't know. What do you think it does? They're funny. They're very intelligent.
Well,
actually.
Thank you.
And so when you think about them being raised on a farm as a mom, you got to think about, like, this is something that they're having a cleaner upbringing. I mean, you think about COVID and everything now, and how the school systems are having to adapt and change. Hey, it's Pornovino time. I can say what I want.
Hello.
But it's got to give you peace of mind that they're here on the farm.
It does. I'll tell you, we had decided to, I homeschool them. I homeschool them anyway. My 7-year-old, I homeschool my 7-year-old. And I made the conscious decision last year when he started kindergarten to do that. And I had wrestled back and forth with the idea, but ultimately I thought that this was going to be the best choice for our family. My husband and I thought that. And I have not been more grateful for that decision than this summer and this fall when all this stuff was happening, and friends of mine were, kind of juggling things, trying to figure out what was going to happen with their kids in school. And it really has been a very calming thing, at least in, that part of my life seems very calm and okay. I mean, it's okay. It's okay with me right now. I'm not worried about it, which is nice. Now, I mean, I do have several friends who are, they have kids at the city schools and the county schools here, and it's not so peaceful, and I hate that for them. It's got to be unnerving to know what's coming, to not know what's coming, but it is very good in that sense. And it's also good that they have lots of responsibility. My 7-year-old gets the eggs every day for me, and some days he loves it and some days he absolutely hates it and he doesn't want anything to do with it. But it's something that he has, steady, that he has to do every day, that he knows is his task. And the 3-year-old just thinks like he's the king of this land and he has no boundaries. So he has to be watched 24 hours a day, like every second of the day, or else he will just walk to his grandma's house, which is just 100 yards away. But he thinks he's perfectly fine, and he's 3 and he's a big boy. So they're
but you kind of have the village.
Yes, exactly.
We talk about that. Nancy Hall was raised in Kenya, the village.
Yeah.
I think sometimes. And we forget that in a busy city life, we can forget the village. Or sometimes you have friends in urban areas, suburban areas.
Looking back, in my childhood, there were neighbors that I grew up in East LA, so neighbors were not really neighbors. But now in Kenya, our neighbors were true neighbors, and this reminds me very much of that.
Yeah.
That your neighbors look out for you, whether or not you ask them to.
Right.
They know who lives where, and if they
I couldn't get away with anything.
Exactly.
I couldn't get away with anything. They all knew. I got busted. My friends got busted. Parents busted each other. I mean,
because you looked out, like if you saw a child walking alone, especially like a 3-year-old walking alone down the road, somebody's going to call you or pick them up and bring them back, and
someone's getting a spanking.
Someone's
sorry, that's not allowed anymore.
Reprimanded or whatever. But in a city, that's a whole different.
Yes.
And by the way, Nancy didn't spank me. She ran around with a frying pan in the garden and a rolling pin, and she could never catch me.
On purpose.
Yeah, no, I certainly don't mean to imply that my child is running loose on this farm. He's perfectly safe here.
But
This is all
the point
family
is,
land.
like, you have family land that
Right.
everybody's watching out, and I think there's something really beautiful about that, and I think people now, this season of COVID, right?
Yeah.
And I say season because I'm hoping it'll leave now. We're done. We want we want Christmas. Damn it! And we had a really good New Year. Please, that people are realizing, when you're away from friends, you can't hug your friends and family, and then when you do have them as your neighbors like this, it's something really special. And sometimes it's trying. I mean, Nancy and I travel together as mother and daughter. It's trying, but it's the best damn thing ever.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
And it's good for them. They're, TJ, my husband's grandparents are older. They're in their 70s and they're almost approaching 80. And, his parents are in their 60s. I mean, it's good for them to have their grandkids around them and for us to all be together. And like Sandy was telling you earlier, every Sunday we do family dinner together. I mean, even if we do a couple other nights together too, if it works out, but we make sure that on Sunday we're all sitting around that table together, and we give the kids, opportunities to talk and join the conversation, and we try not to monopolize it with boring grown-up talk all the time, so that they're part of our conversation. And I mean, it's so healthy for them and for the grandparents, and I really I couldn't ask for a better situation.
Well, you talked about, them having chores. And today you took us around on the mule, driving around through
Which
the
is
trees.
not a mule.
No, it's like a little ATV.
vehicle.
It's like a big golf cart with a good engine.
Right.
Okay.
And four-wheel drive.
Yes, and we needed the four-wheel drive
we
today.
did.
It was raining, and the fall colors are amazing in the rain though.
Oh yeah.
But the kids knew, like, you're the one opening the fence, you're the one doing this, and it's like your responsibility. And I remember Nancy giving me responsibility as a kid, and it made you stand up.
Yeah.
And rise up as a
gives you-
child.
It gives you confidence.
Yeah.
You are given a task, you do it, and you are acknowledged for doing it equals confidence. And when you have confidence, now you're like, okay, what's next?
Right.
Okay, instead of shirking away and I don't want to do anything, and being kind of within yourself as a child.
Yeah, it was really interesting taking that drive with them, because they were proud of their responsibilities and wanted to show, like, hey, I got my stake in the game too.
Yeah.
It's not just
Love
about the
that.
adults.
I
Look
love
what
that.
I can do.
Yeah.
And you let them do that. And then if they're nervous about something, they were also very open and communicable about that, which I think it's important when you live in a farm or any setting, really, that a parent and child have that open dialogue. Like, if I was scared, I'd tell Nancy, like, Mommy, hell no. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So I think that comes from your living life together.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so. I mean, that's what I hope and pray for them, that this is a good positive influence. And like you said, they meet people, and well, especially my older one, he doesn't know a stranger at all. Now the 3-year-old can be a little more bashful at times, but the guests that we've had come to stay in the cabin are, they're seeing them. They're seeing them come in and out. They're coming with me to, introduce myself, or go behind the cabin to feed the pigs with their grandparents.
Oh, dude, the pig time is cool. Bacon and ham. You got to see them, man. They are cool. The pigs rock.
Yeah. So I think I think that's helping them too, to learn to interact with other adults, and, just be comfortable in social situations, and not just be like little hermits that live on the farm. So.
Do they understand
exactly.
food? Do you think I want to talk about that, because you're on a farm, you have, cattle, you have the pigs, and we all know what's happening with all of them. It's like you want to say babe the pig, but we go like, oh, dude, no.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's the chickens, you get the eggs, you're harvesting the pear tree, you're making honey with all your beehives here, which, by the way, are far away from the cabin, so don't worry about it. If you come stay here, and there's fishing. So do you see a understanding of a better respect for our food, whereas you go to a grocery store, you don't know where this has come from.
Yeah.
You don't know where the zucchinis are. Like, you don't know, where did the zucchini come from? Where did this meat come from? How's it been doctored? This is grass-fed, so it's a longer process, right?
Yeah.
So do you see that with the kids, and then even the guests coming here, going to the farmer's market like you do you see that as being kind of your role model of understanding food?
Well, I hope so. That is one of our intentions, for sure. Sadly, there is a whole section of our country, and maybe the world, I don't know, but definitely our country, that thinks that food comes from the grocery store, and that's really...
or a 7-Eleven.
Right, exactly. It's really, really sad. Here on the farm, my mother-in-law will tell you, like, since COVID's happened, it's kind of, her life is just kind of like stayed the same. She never really left the farm as it was. She likes to keep a very well-stocked pantry, and
hell yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
I saw that pantry.
And we typically cook most of our meals from scratch, if not all of them. I mean, there are definitely days when we have semi-homemade days, or when we make something from a box because we're just short on time. But we make our own bread. We make our own cheese when we have the chance. We she grows her own food. We make and preserve food and jelly and things like that. So yeah, and the kids, you know, when we got the pigs, they were tiny. They were piglets, and they were precious. Cool. And I told them right then, like, we're going to eat these pigs, you know, because I just didn't. I mean, at the time, we were reading Charlotte's Web for homeschool, so I was like, I really wanted him to know, like, this is, you know, they're precious, and we love them, and we want them to live a good life here, and we want them to have a good life, but ultimately, they're going to be the food that goes on our table, you know. So I told him right then, and the 7-year-old was okay with it because he loves meat, and he's like, yeah, I love meat. But the 3-year-old was like, what? We're going to eat the pig.
Is that part of why you call them bacon and ham?
Yeah, I mean, everybody told us not to name our animals because then we wouldn't want to eat them. So we decided maybe we'll just name them something that's food, you know.
So the next cow that walks by, I'm going to go, hi, carrot.
That's a really,
hi, ribeye.
Really sensitive subject.
But it's important.
And that has to be addressed, but it's better that they actually know than people who go to the supermarket out know where they think their food comes from.
Right.
Well, no, I mean, we all go there.
It's so easy to pretend that these were not live animals at one point.
Right. That's the point. Yeah. And then if you, I don't want to eat this anymore, and it goes in the trash. I'm like, an animal?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Live this life, and you guys are giving them, you know, we always, you know, when we lived in California, it was always a California happy cow, but these are Tennessee happy cows. They are roaming around. They have, I mean, look at this land.
Yeah, we have about 200 acres that they can roam on, and they seem pretty happy, and we definitely want to give them a good life, and we want them to, you know.
Well, they seem very happy. I mean, they're like, we go outside and like, hi, and they're like, hey.
Yeah, like, are you going to give me minerals?
Yes. Yeah.
They want to hang out, but that's the thing, I think, is having that connection. And when we lose, I think we've lost that connection. Kind of interesting. I think COVID kind of taught us that. We lose connection, and then we're like, oh, wow. We lose this connection of human beings. Zoom doesn't cut it.
We don't lose the connection. We take it for granted.
Yes.
And then suddenly you're told you can't be, you know, within 6 feet of another person.
So people,
when we're used to, as we travel, you go somewhere new, people either shake your hand or hug you.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, well, can't.
Right.
And then the mask on your face, that's like someone who's going to rob you or do something bad. Now we all have to wear masks. So it's a challenge. But then I'm looking at the thing of you, when you're wearing a mask, somebody has to look at just your eyes as opposed to the rest of your features. And so they have to actually look and concentrate.
Yeah.
And decide, like, I mean, how do you go to a bank in a mask and withdraw money? I mean, how do the bank tellers handle people walking in with a mask?
No, they make appointments now. But
ours aren't open
no.
Weird.
No, but I want to say
Weird.
about the mask thing with COVID, it's kind of the same thing that what I was getting to with this, with our food, is like, we've kind of put a mask on where our food comes from. We put a mask on it. We don't want to know that cows died for us to eat. Like, honestly, I'm just going to go right there.
Yeah.
It's the truth. And when you don't know, you can have waste. And it's something, the immediate lesson we learned with you guys today, you guys cooking in the kitchen, preserving, pickling, you know, all of this was, we ain't wasting anything, and farmers do not waste.
No.
And it's something that I think the rest of us can learn from. When you go to a grocery store, you buy a steak, you don't know where the farm, you know, where did it come from? Is it factory raised in a little shed? Versus here, where they're roaming free and having a happy life. I'd rather eat meat from a cow that was happy. I feel like it's going to taste better automatically. Like, I think animals that are scared freeze up, and then you're eating the gristle of fear.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, we've done shows on this before, but being here just brought that all back. And I feel like the way things are factory farmed, we've put a mask on that, so we don't know. but we've just all been convenient, and let's just do that and not worry about it. And then, we'll just throw that bone away. We don't like use it for the dog or make a
bone broth,
sauce,
yeah.
or right.
Mm-hmm.
See what I
Make
mean?
soup.
And that's what I think about. Here it's a beautiful escape. You could come to the cabin, overlook this beautiful pond with beautiful trees and an osprey and a heron and the fish that are jumping. You will have a magical time, but go deeper and walk around, get to know the families here on this land, and you will get a deeper sense of appreciation for what you put in your body and how you connect with the land and the animals.
Well, I hope so. That's I can't tell you how many times this farmers market season that my husband and I have been at the farmers market booth on Saturday morning. And I
wish we were here on Saturday.
I know. I would say at least 4 times we've been there, and the people have walked up to our booth and have said, "We're living at your farm right now," because they've come in late at night and we haven't seen them. And it's guests staying in the cabin, and they're now coming to the farmers market because they're connected. They obviously care about the same things that we do, but and they're like, "We're at your farm. We see your cows. We're," and it's like so crazy, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely taught me a lot. There's been some eye-opening moments for sure, because before I lived on the farm, I always enjoyed cooking. I always tried to use.
You're in Louisiana, man. I know what you girls do
sure.
out there and guys out there. I mean, I know.
Yeah, but now I definitely have, a greater appreciation for it. Like, I put oxtails in the bone broth instead of just the bones, because we get the oxtails when we process the cow. And, it's a pretty small market, I think, for people wanting oxtails, unless you really know what to do with it. If you're a chef,
we used to make oxtail soup all the time in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's good.
So it really is. And, we use the tallow from the beef, which is the fat, just like lard for a pig. We use the tallow to make soap, and we sell the soap at the farmer's market. So it makes like a nice hard bar of soap, and it's a great fat to add to soap. So we really try to use, every part of them. And we also, our faith is very important to us. Before we take our animals in, we always say a prayer, and we, we just try to give them the best life that we could have given them. And we thank the Lord every time we put the food on our table and we get to eat it, and every time we make a sale and someone else gets to eat it. So,
well, toast to you. Toast to your family.
They're happy.
Really.
They're running free. They're happy as they can actually be. It's better than factory farming.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's impressive, and it's hard ass work. I'm just saying that. I mean, we've been here a day, and I'm looking like you guys work hard, and I'm grateful for this little moment of wine time with you, or Portofino wine time with you, because I know how hard you work, raising families and doing this and having the cabin. And cabin's going to be cabins. They're having babies. Yeah. Y'all, they're having babies. Cabin babies. Yeah. So the cabin
is awesome.
The cabin is so cool. It is cozy. You slept well. You have Wi-Fi. There's a TV in there if you have to have movies, but really want to sit on the porch. But the bathrooms, it's clean. It's like if you've never had a farm experience, or you just want some peace and quiet, or get out of the city, hell yes.
That's the best bed.
See, I'm drinking wine now.
Thank you.
But it's true.
It's the best
so
bed.
nice.
I was like, oh, finally.
No, Nancy got tired of bunking up with me on a few visits, but
Well, yeah,
you missed me, Nancy.
You both have your own bed there, which is
We do.
nice,
I'm in the loft. But the thing is,
like
her
her
bed.
in the loft.
Yeah, but I can't throw things at her because her
know.
bed's on the other side.
I love it.
Yeah.
There's no throwing things down. There's no. But I even have I'm in the loft, but I have my own toilet and I have my own sink and everything. So
Yeah, and those are really old logs on that log cabin. So that's a pretty typical Appalachian home.
It's awesome.
I think my father-in-law said those logs are like pre-1850s.
Wow.
So they're really heavy duty, really, really beautiful hand hewn logs,
they're awesome.
like cut down from a tree and hand hewn before we had power tools. It's pretty amazing. Years ago, people, I guess log cabins got out of fashion, and so people started building around them, sort of stick building around the frame of the log cabin. And then when they'd go to remodel, they'd start gutting the walls and realize there was a log cabin underneath there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they would, post it on like Craigslist and things like that. Like, come get these logs. They're yours for free if you come pick them up.
Wow.
And so my father-in-law and, my husband's grandfather, they would drive all around and pick up these logs for these log cabins. And and then, Barn Builders and all those other HGTV shows came around and people started realizing like, oh, there's some value in these old barns and these old log cabins, and now you can't get them. You can't get them for free, But he definitely took advantage at the time, and he went and got, I think, 6 log cabins. So we're building our second one now, and my mother-in-law always jokes and says that he has a very expensive hobby. He just really, really enjoys resurrecting these old log cabins.
Sweet.
It's cool.
They were building it together today. We're watching him go and build together. We're like having wine on the porch. I'm like, I got to get my hands dirty in there, but they're like talking measurements, and I'm like, I ain't getting involved because this is man and woman doing this, and I'm like, dude, I don't know how that's going to go down, but they have teamwork.
Oh yeah, they are. They're some workhorses for sure. I
gotta learn a little more from them.
I wanted to recite Abraham Lincoln's things, like in a log cabin.
Yeah.
I totally was like, dude.
But
Abraham Lincoln, if he grew up in a cabin like this, he would be a happy chappy.
Yeah, but he did. We went and saw some of his cabins.
I don't think this log cabin is the same as like
this cabin's sweet, man.
Yeah,
it's sweet and it's peaceful. And last night I was just like, I went to sleep, so I'm like, and then the rain came.
Frogs.
And I was lying in bed and like, this is what they talk about in the South with the tin roof and the rain.
You could hear the rain through it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Little pitter-patter.
Yeah,
and I'm lying there. I heard pitter-patters, and I'm like, am I dreaming? I could be dreaming, but I'm feeling really happy right now. And I didn't even have that much wine. I've had more wine today than yesterday when we got here. I'm serious.
Trend, apparently.
It was just so peaceful, and it was just so like, I'm lying in here, and I'm like, I don't want this to end, and then I fell asleep. And so it ended.
Oh, well, that's the best kind of sleep, though.
It was.
When you don't realize you're falling asleep.
But then I woke up, and I'm like, no. I woke up in the morning, and, oh, look at all the birds. Look at all those birds.
I know, and she attempted to wake me up, and I'm like, go away.
No. No, it is so beautiful here. It is beautiful. So more cabins are coming.
Yeah, for sure. We want, we hope to have at least 4. And one of them will be kind of a double cabin. So it may be able, we may be able to rent it out, one side at a time. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, we definitely have enough logs to build 6, and 2 of them we're going to use to build our house. So we're going to just try for 4
and we're
for now.
sitting right where you're going to build.
Yes.
Look at all those birds you're going to see every day.
I know. It's
look at that.
really
That's like a whole flock just flying around. I don't know what they are. But you've had bluebirds while we're talking. I'm like, wait, I got to get my camera.
Yeah, and we have the yellow finches in the summer that just go nuts. The hummingbirds are out here like crazy, which they really just left. Our hummingbirds left. We leave our feeders for at least 2 weeks after we stop seeing them, just to make sure that they're not around anymore. But I've pretty much stopped seeing my hummingbirds, so I think they're gone for the
It's
season.
interesting because we've always lived on the other side of the country where the hummingbirds are there
year-round
all the time.
And then we get an influx of new ones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now we see where they're actually coming
and we're like,
from.
hey, y'all.
Yeah.
Go. See, I'm in Louisiana, but I'm not. I'm in East Tennessee.
It's interesting. It's interesting that, because we're like, hummingbirds migrate. Oh, yeah, if you're over here, they do.
Yeah.
Where we are, they're...
Yeah.
And then here comes the newbies, and that's why there's all those fights
and we have
the feeders.
Like, come spring, we have Canada geese out here, a family of Canada geese that comes out.
I love it.
So right around April 16th or so, I only remember that because it's my daddy's birthday, but that's pretty much the time that they hatch their little goslings, and so we'll watch them teach their little goslings how to swim, how to land on the pond. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
I want to come.
Yeah,
so what's spring like here?
Spring is beautiful. Now, I mean, through March, it's pretty wet. It's wet and dreary and like slick, like I was showing you where we went on the ATV today, kind of just slick and muddy. But after that, it starts to get really green and lush, and that's when Miss Terry's garden starts to bloom and everything.
Oh man, she's got an intense garden.
Yeah, her and Sandy, they dedicate some time to that garden. They are out there every morning. So while my kids are still sleeping, I get up and I do, like business stuff. Like I do the books and I work on the website and things like that.
And the Instagram. You got to follow her on Instagram. She puts the best photos out there. I was like, I'm hungry before I even get there.
Well, thank you. Well, yeah, they're out in the garden working. I'm sitting on my porch working on my computer, and they're in the garden just like going at it. So
Cool.
they're pretty dedicated to that, and they do a beautiful job of it. And every year they get better and better. And every year she tells me like, yeah, I'm never doing that again. With something, like there's something that
then she's still gonna
right,
do it.
exactly.
Yeah. Her okra, she has like crimson okra that we saw today growing.
Yeah, that I don't think that was intentional. But my father-in-law has heard the
you weren't supposed
the
to
lecture
get that.
of
That was not the variety.
Yeah, those are not
sent
the
you-
seeds I told you to pick up. But
But it's pretty.
we thought it was pretty too, and it actually changed colors when she canned it. It definitely took on more of a greenish
green.
tone. Yeah,
Yeah. But you got to do something different once in a while.
yeah, they were really pretty and different looking.
So do you take any of the produce to the farmer's market? Is it always honey?
Yeah, we take honey and we take our tallow soap, and we'll take our beef cuts. So we sell steak and ground beef, really all the cuts. Steak, ground beef, cube steak, roast. We have really amazing chuck roasts, like maybe the best you'll ever eat. They're just so good.
So can people buy that online?
Yes, absolutely. So most of my beef cuts are online on our website, thefarm@springcreek.net. And we'll ship nationwide, but it does get a little expensive the further away from Tennessee you get for shipping. So I'm not sure how cost effective that is, but regionally it's certainly an option for people.
Can you get it in restaurants or?
Not yet, not right now, but it maybe down the line. We'll see.
So I just for grass-fed versus the factory farmed. From chefs we've talked to, they say it's different cooking it.
Yeah, it's a little different, and it has a little bit of different flavor. I think some people are kind of nervous about trying grass-fed because they think it's going to have sort of a gamey taste. Now, I never was. My daddy's a hunter in Louisiana, and he hunts in Texas and Arkansas, and so we always had venison and wild duck and goose and wild pig, and so I don't mind that. The flavor of the meat at all. I mean, I never find it to be really off-putting at all. I mean, I think our meat is delicious. So, but I think people have like a nervous thing about it. But I think it's all in how you have it processed. And I mean, there can be some not so great, maybe gamey tasting wild meat that has not been processed well that people have maybe had a bad experience with. But our beef is absolutely delicious, and so. It tastes great, and one of the benefits, well, there's lots of benefits. There's lots of research on grass-fed beef versus grain-fed or grain-finished beef, and I mean, one of the major ones is really high levels of CLA that lots of like bodybuilders and CrossFitters love. They took this supplements, the CLA supplements, high levels of omega-3s, which we all know are great for us, and lower levels of omega-6, which are inflammatory for the body. So just like really, really good health benefits as well that they've done lots and lots of research on.
And not as many antibiotics. Like
right.
The animals that are factory farmed are pumped through, and they're not a happy life. And what I've heard from chefs is that the meat is more like you think when it's corn-fed and everything, or what all that stuff, that it's tender, but when you think about when they process the animal, that the animals are so full of fear and that you don't get a good cut of meat because you're actually eating the fear.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard that. Adrenaline can play a big part in how the meat tastes for sure. So if the animal is scared right at the time of processing or stressed, then yes, it's going to make the meat taste a little bit differently. And I talked to you a little bit about this, about how we work our cows, and we try to frequently run them through the corral, through the chute, give them treats when they come through, just so they know that it's not something scary to be doing and that they're
happy.
Right, exactly.
It
They're
goes
fine
back to the happy cow.
Yeah,
Happy cow land.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's it. And, it's like you've got to think, even if you're hunting, here's this animal out in the wild, right? And then someone says, okay, it's time for you. I'm going to eat you, that deer or a buck. And I couldn't, personally, that's not something I could do. But I'm going to eat you. That's going to be my family's food for like half a year or something, depending on what it is. That animal had this beautiful life, free, not trapped. It's like a zoo animal. You're going to go hunt a zoo animal. Versus, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of.
You know what I mean?
analogy,
That's I don't. The factory farming thing is just it's
Well, and they don't have room to run. I mean, I'm not saying anything, you know.
I don't want to say anything
There are definitely some benefits to big ag, but we're not big ag. We're small. We're small ag. We're a very small family farm.
And it's hard. And that's what I think we as consumers need to look at, doing what we can for the American spirit, the American entrepreneur, the American farmer. The farmers that are doing this are working hard, and even the farmers that are doing big ag are also working really hard.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody is. It's really hard, and the more we can support, the better. And if you can go as local as you can, do it. But also come here and experience it and see it. You'll have a better appreciation for what you eat.
Yeah, and that's our goal always. I think even before I came here, and it was my husband's family here, was just grow beef that they could eat. Grow beef that was there for family consumption. And, I told you, up until recently, we were really just doing animals on the hoof. So live animals, we would take them and sell them to other farmers or to, at the sale auction or things like that. And so we've only just recently gotten into the beef retail part of it. But we appreciate that the beef is, we know where it comes from. We know what they're eating. We know the kind of life they live. We know they're not overcrowded. And if we can do that for us, and then we can kind of have just a little bit extra to sell to people around here, or even like regionally, and they could get those benefits too from knowing the farmer, supporting a local small business, and knowing the food that they eat, then that's, we're winning. Right. So it's not about making a ton of money. It's not about really even competing with big ag, because we're not. I wouldn't even
two different
consider
animals.
us. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're not even the same market. So, but yeah, the grass-fed. I mean, people that buy grass-fed beef know they're buying it at a premium cost, and they know they're getting a smaller portion, because the grass-fed beef are smaller. They're smaller than a grain-finished animal. They're not going to have that time to put on that body mass. So,
but you also told us today that you're breeding two different.
Yes,
I'm going to say varieties. I'm into wine. But you've got two different cattle, that you're breeding together, so it's actually easier on the
Angus and Hereford.
So we have, so a long time ago, somebody really good at marketing,
Species would be the word, right?
Yeah, probably should be my role model. That's my background, is marketing. So somebody really good at marketing decided that Black Angus cattle was just the ultimate in beef cattle. And so everybody knows Black Angus beef, right? But the Black Angus typically have like large heads, and it sometimes can make birthing the calves a little bit more difficult. So years ago, before I moved here, my husband's family decided to kind of do like a hybrid Black Angus and Hereford, so that it would reduce the head size. It would make birthing for the mother a little bit easier. And they're both really good beef cows. The Hereford beef and Black Angus beef both are excellent beef cows. So beef cattle rather. So anyway, that's what we have. We have around here they call them black baldies. So that's why you see the black body and the white face on a lot of the animals.
They're so pretty.
But you also see lots of really like all black animals that have a little more Angus in them probably. So yeah, we have a blend of Hereford and Angus, and I mean, I can't say enough good things. Yeah, a blend. I don't.
Ding, ding, ding,
look,
ding.
I don't have a background in agriculture, so I may be saying the wrong things, and my TJ's grandfather will probably correct me after this when he listens to this.
But the point, it's about the point of for us to get it. I mean, it's not a variety of cow, but it's really about understanding, like, this is better for them. It's happier for the cattle. It's happier for the people. Better for the land too, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
isn't this better for the land, for the animals to graze and move around than them all being in cages?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, you can see where there are some parts where maybe that pasture is neglected, and we haven't done much with it right now with the animals, but Mother Nature has started to take over, and there's there's bushy trees growing, and we have some little baby cedars trying to sprout up. So the cows keep that. They keep that in check, and so that you don't have these like massive areas of just like unusable wildlife on our farm. They keep our pastures healthy. We move them around as much as possible, and we try to make it to where they prevent the weeds if we can. This is always a work in progress.
Do you think it helps with wildfire?
I don't know about that. I mean, we did have those wildfires in Gatlinburg, which is not very far from us, up in the mountains, not very long ago, like pretty much right before I moved here, I think. So, around here in this part, I don't know that it's a very common thing to have the wildfires because it's a lot more farmland than it is mountain forest area.
That. Yeah, I always wonder about that because it's almost like they're taking care of the land for you, so you don't have all this overbrush and.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a lot harder for the. Again, I'm not a firefighter, so I don't know. But I mean, I think it's a lot harder for the fire to move across, grassland than it is to, I've watched the cedars go up in flames in seconds, So if you have a whole forest of cedars, I would imagine that's probably a lot more flammable than this cow pasture that we're looking at right here. So.
Okay, so I got to ask you this last question. You're gonna have a dinner party. You're gonna bring the beef. Who are you bringing to the dinner party, alive or passed on? 1 to 3 people.
3 people?
They're coming here. They're gonna right out here, right? Wouldn't you do it right here? Outdoor dinner party right here?
That could be people people passed on.
Wait, outside of my family?
You can bring your family. Your whole family's here.
Okay.
Come on, yeah.
Famous people.
Who would you like to meet? And what are you going to serve beef-wise?
Oh,
we know there's wine on the table.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's wine.
Preserves. There's hot biscuits.
There's homemade bread. Yeah.
There's all of that. Yeah. There's chili. We know there's chili coming around.
That's such a tough question. I don't know. Okay, well, so if my immediate family were already here, then and my husband would be cooking because he's way better on the grill than I am. I don't. Oh golly, this is.
I know. I was mean.
Okay, so my little boy loves when his daddy makes ribeye bites, and we have that for his birthday every year. We have ribeye bites and crab legs, and
I see. He's got Louisiana.
Yeah. Maybe I would do something like that, and he could grill the ribeye bites. Little ribeye cut into cubes and wrapped in bacon and then grilled.
Nancy, bacon.
Yeah. Oh, they're so good, and they just melt in your mouth.
Cool.
And then probably the crab legs, and let's think about other beef things. Beef. I mean, well, if it was like a family style dinner, which is probably more likely what we would have out here.
Yeah, I could see it like a big table.
Yeah, a long table with like festoon lights and stuff.
I could see the fried tomatoes.
Fried green tomatoes from the garden.
Yeah, I saw those green tomatoes. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, you know what? In that case, I might do one of our chuck roasts. Our chuck roasts are like butter when they get cooked. All that good. Cartilage and stuff in there just cooks down and melts and just they just tear apart and they're so good. So I might do like family style dining with we call it rice and gravy in Louisiana, but everywhere else they don't know what I'm talking about when I say rice and gravy, but that means meat and rice in a gravy. And then you serve it with some like hearty vegetables like green beans or peas, some homemade bread, nice fresh salad, something like that. Of course, our wine.
Have to have wine.
Guests?
Yeah, who could I bring? Let's see. Okay, so my immediate family's here. Well, I would definitely think my grandma, she has passed on, my Gramsy. She would love it. She did love it when she was alive. She had Alzheimer's late in life, and we brought her up here, and she had convinced herself that she built this farm. So I would like her to see how far we've come since she built it.
Cool.
I don't know who else. That's a really tough question. Maybe my old boss in Louisiana. I loved her, and I've been wanting her to come up here. So, I mean, maybe I would have her just so she could spend some time with us.
From history, somebody famous.
Come on, yeah.
Somebody from history. You know what? I think I would go with St. Elizabeth Seton. She started like Catholic schools for kids here. I mean, she's pretty famous for that. She's a pretty famous saint for starting the Catholic schools. And I do Catholic homeschool with my little boy. So I try to...
Doesn't that kind of go with Montessori or no?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, a little bit. Oh, maybe Charlotte Mason, because that's actually the style that I do. She was the educator who's... curriculum style I use to teach my little boy. See, I couldn't decide. There's too many people. I'm like too much of a social butterfly. I could never narrow it down to 3
She's having a party.
I am. I'm having a
100
meltdown
people.
trying to think.
100 people. Everybody, give everyone the website.
That's right. The more the merrier. thefarm@springcreek.net.
Come party, y'all. Is it y'all?
That's right. Yeah. Come party, y'all.
In Lafayette, is it y'all?
It's absolutely y'all.
Y'all. Okay. Yeah. And look here. Who's this? We got the babies are here. The cows are just coming by. by. They know a party's happening. Oh my. Oh, they're like, hello, I want my treat. Okay. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.